Hey everyone, welcome to Plastic Cards Podcast. I'm Fonzie. This is Gavin. How are you doing, Gavin?
Doing well. How about yourself, Fonzie?
I'm okay. Life keeps going on for some reason. But
Can't stop that train yet, but we're trying.
yeah.
More alcohol.
Yes. One day we will do a drunk show, a drunk podcast.
Where would we do that?
I don't know.
I think
On the street, just get 40s in paper bags and we just record on a cell phone.
we could. You might be able to pull that off in my house.
Yeah. We could do a very scaled down
Hmm.
thing where it's just that, a light or whatever, and
Yeah.
just go to town.
Just shove my couch out the way.
Yeah, we could also get a drink and then just show up here,
I thought.
like already plastered, and then just show up and then do the thing. But yeah, optional. Maybe to celebrate something coming up. E3 is coming up too, so maybe it's something with that.
I am so excited. For
Right?
some reason, even though I've up until now I've been like I have no faith in E3. I have no faith. But still, it's the Christmas spirit. It's the E3
That's why I like it.
spirit.
Yeah, because
It's
stuff's
just
getting
there.
announced, and it's just
Mhm.
fun to see. Usually stuff leaks before, anyways, but
Yeah.
I like the little. Oh, and also, they just like reveal something crazy.
Yeah. But then you got the companies who don't leak too well. Like Nintendo really doesn't leak.
Yeah,
I
they
mean-
hold it pretty close to the chest every time.
Yeah, and there've been a few crazy. Yeah, but all that being said, I'm more excited about the releases right now. We got some good releases all piling up right now.
What's interesting too is PlayStation isn't there, so how does Xbox take that and run with it? And we have some news too with Xbox.
It's all going to
too.
be sports games. Previously, they just had to compete with Sony, so they're like, sports games, like a small segment. Now they're like, sports games.
That'd be awesome. If hey, let's talk to you about Madden 2020 for an hour and a half. That'd be great.
Don't tempt them; they'll do it.
Did you play anything this week?
So last week I was off on a business trip, so I had absolutely no time to play anything.
Mhm.
This week, I was pretty well doing stuff all weekend. I played a little bit more Risk of Rain 2.
Nice.
I'm still a hot steaming pile of garbage, but part of me just wants to keep going because I have 3 more unlocks, and if you keep playing, you'll get them.
Okay.
So I don't know.
What do
It's
the unlocks do?
characters?
Oh, gotcha.
So and all the characters play reasonably different from each other.
Yeah.
So I at least got to get the engineer because he's supposed to be an overpowered. You just stand between your turrets, which are healing you, which is good.
Well, the turrets can also heal you at the same time.
Yeah. So there's a buff that you can get that if you stand in place, it will pop up and heal you somewhat rapidly.
Okay.
But your turrets also get this buff, so you stand between them and you're getting
There you go.
healed stupid
That's
fast.
awesome.
So
You could just do that and go to the bathroom while it's happening and just come back.
it's not out of the question. But yeah, what
That's
have
cool.
you been playing?
I've been kind of jumping around a couple of games, not really very long in either of them, but I downloaded Assassin's Creed. The last time I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the last time I played it was part of that beta testing for the what was now not Stevia, Stadia.
Stadia.
Yeah. So it was that Google thing. I was streaming it, and then now I got to actually play on console. I downloaded on PS4, and it's cool. I shouldn't like it, but I find myself liking it more and more.
Yeah.
And I just remember hearing such great things about it. It was really highly reviewed, or scored pretty high. So yeah, I'm playing that and getting into it, and then Katana Zero. I don't know if you got to try it yet.
I haven't. I do want to though.
It's dope. It's hard. It's like I didn't expect it to be so hard right out the gate.
Yeah.
But it is cool.
It's definitely got. So I've watched a bit of some streamers playing it, and it's one of those ones where it's really frustrating because when you're playing it, you're kind of tunnel vision, and you can't see the obvious environmental puzzle that's sitting there, and it's just there was one that killed me where you go into this room and you turn out these lasers and you go to save this guy, and then his head blows.
Oh yeah, it's in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the first 5 minutes. It's not
Right.
that big a spoiler.
Right.
So his head blows up, and then you walk back out from there. And so these guys are coming through, and all you have to do to fry all 3 of them at once is turn on the laser.
Oh yeah. Okay. I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
But the guy I was watching wasn't doing that. I'm like, oh, my soul. And it took
Yeah.
him 30, 40 tries. And it was just like, oh.
I do really dig though nowadays with some of these games, the reset time is just instant.
Yeah.
So although I know the developers are playing on that too, they know that you're going to be playing it over and over again, or at least that part of the level. But you can just jump back in and just try and learn from why you keep dying.
Yeah.
But I like it. I'm dying over and over and over again.
I saw an increase of those, if I remember this correctly, after I think it was an article was written because like Super Meat Boy came out and had those mega low death timers.
Okay.
And I think there was if I remember this correctly, there was an article that was written about the steepness of the difficulty. You have to shorten down your punishment on it.
Gotcha.
So easier, like that's why a lot of times the game's big. I mean, nowadays you get low difficulty and super.
What about like Dark Souls? I've never played the Souls games, but the difficulty's ramped up. But do you also have to take a long time to get back into it?
I mean, it definitely is difficult. I would be curious to see, and the save points are sort of few and far between. But I would be curious to see, is that game really that hard if your save points are not few and far between?
Right.
And that is part of it. That's why you have your flask system where you take so many pulls. You can only heal yourself so many times.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, yeah, it's difficult, but if you had those frequent save points, people probably just aside from the bosses are a different story because they're hard. It wouldn't matter where you put those save points, even though you do still have the long run back. That being said, I've never played a Souls game. So.
Me either. I've just seen footage, but yeah, there's something to be said about that balance of how easy you can jump back in versus how hard it is, and making that an actually interesting gameplay loop or style. But yeah. I've been playing Katana Zero, and it's interesting because you're playing through levels, and I will die like just tons of times before I realize, oh, they want me to do this. And it's a lot of that. It's a lot of this isn't doable. It's super hard. And then it's like, oh, okay. They want me to hit this guy first or do this thing. And it's just learning each level. But I like it.
That's actually the major complaint I've heard about that game is that. So it obviously gets compared to Hotline Miami constantly because they're very similar. But that was one of the things they mentioned is where Katana Zero, there's sort of one way to tackle most of the levels.
That's true. As far as, well, you can kind of choose who you take first because there's various types of enemies that do certain things. Yeah. So some of them are going to be trouble if you let them linger around.
Right.
But
But the game kind of, to a certain degree, like, I mean, I guess you'd make it really hard for yourself if you didn't do it in that order.
Right.
Whereas in Hotline Miami, like, you really kind of got to pick your route and try out different ways. Maybe if I go this way, take out this person, use their weapon to take out this person.
Okay.
That was one of the complaints I heard about. It's just like it's not as freeform, whereas Hotline Miami was just like a freeform murder fest.
Gotcha.
Flying by the absolute seat of your pants.
I see. Yeah,
when you finally made it through, it was by the skin of your teeth.
Gotcha. Yeah, I never played Hotline Miami, but I know really? I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard it's awesome. I just never got into it, but
yeah, it's one of my favorite games, and I've definitely never beaten it and never will.
Yeah, that's how I felt about Baba Is You, where it's like I want to get in. I'm just too dumb. Early, like maybe within the first 6 levels, I've reached my mental capacity where I just can't play it anymore. But it's awesome. Enough. But yeah, and then last week I was talking about how like I got to play a little bit of Fallout 76. I just bought it it was on sale, and got into it. And
for 76 cents.
That's no, it's worth more than that for sure. I paid like $40 for it.
$10.50.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's like a lot of mixed feelings at the same time playing it because you can almost play it like a regular Fallout game, but not. Like there's all these different rules to it. It's live, so you can't pause it. You can't really like if you're checking your Pip-Boy, enemies are attacking you, and it's just very weird. Like I wouldn't have mind if they put it out as like an in-between release for the next Fallout. Like, hey, we just have the same, engine or whatever. You can play single player.
That's just so much work, though, for an in-between title.
Sure. Yeah, and can they pay or can they charge $60 for it? And they'd really have to make up the cost for it because it's a whole new map, whole new enemies and stuff. It is a legit different world that they've added, but yeah, I've just maybe like scratched the surface 3 hours, at the most, but I like it. It's just getting used to. I don't know if I really like it or I'm telling myself I do to try and like just get into it because I like Fallout. I like the past ones. Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting change, but yeah.
It is a fun universe just to be in.
Right. That's what brings me to it. Even if there's adding multiplayer stuff, which you don't have to engage with, like I'll have people
just not do it now.
Yeah, you can like there's people walking around the level, but there's the level's so huge that they're not really close to you. Even if they do come close to you, they're just like punching you. And
I thought you can just pick single player mode.
I haven't seen that. Maybe that's there, but I tried to find an option where you could just do single player. But really, even though there's people around, you can just choose to not engage with them, and then you can just kind of create your own like single player experience. Yeah. But it's still live. There's still people around. Like I was checking my Pip-Boy in the beginning, just trying to figure out like the menu and stuff, and a dude just ran up and was just punching me for a good 30 seconds as I'm checking and there's no damage unless I engage him back. So there's no damage on my end. It's just annoying for this guy to just be like trolling me. Like, okay, man, that's cool. And I just went on my way. But yeah, I want to play more of it to get more of an idea.
Nice.
But yeah, I know there's some DLC stuff that may or may not be out already.
It's coming soon. If it's
It's like an Appalachia something.
Something.
Yeah. But let's talk about some news, Gavin.
What else would you? I'm so far behind on the news.
Yeah, some stuff happened these past couple of weeks.
Yeah, we finally got the. Yeah, I see you got it on there. The finally got the Xbox, but we'll come to that.
Yeah, well, they're both. I feel like they're both linked to each other, just as far as revealing what these companies are doing. But we'll start with PS4 or with PlayStation. So they kind of announced PlayStation 5, or at least officially in some form.
Why?
Exactly. It was very weird. So it's a interview with Mark Cerny, who's the main architect of the PS4 and also the PS5. He talked to Wired.com, which is kind of a weird place to really reveal this stuff. But I pulled up some of the details were that they are just at the fact that they're officially talking about it. They haven't given a name. That's not officially PS5. Most likely, I feel like it will be, right?
That would be such off branding.
Yeah.
If you didn't do numbered.
Yeah. And what do you go? Do you go with like Xbox and do PS1 again? Like, do you go that route where you go back to, it's like, I'm not
We've
sure.
gotten rid of the analog sticks. We're back to the DualShock 1.
Yeah. But so they're officially talking about it. One thing, there's a couple of interesting things, and I'm not a huge tech guy, so I'll definitely need your perspective on it. But they announced that they're going with an SSD. They said they can get faster loading times, and they feel like that's the way to go for the future, which is awesome. Although they're crazy expensive still, as far as like for a large capacity one. Yeah. So I'm not sure how that will play out. But they had a demo, and so they had the normal PS4.
They had a demo.
Yeah, in a very limited.
Is this a leak?
No, this is from Wired. So what they did is they had the PS4 Pro, and then that PS5 dev kit that was covered. You couldn't see any of the components or anything.
Oh,
But they had, and I'll find the actual quote here, but they had the Spider-Man on PS4 on Pro, and then also on that PS5 dev kit. And they just showed with that SSD, some of the loading times had improved, where they had a Spider-Man boot up in New York in 15 seconds, just booting up the actual world versus. Yeah.
Oh, that was on the Pro.
That was on the Pro. And that's, if you've seen the cutscenes where he's in the train, like in his cool get up, like next to people, like those cutscenes loading up the world, 15 seconds versus the PS5 was 0.8 seconds using that SSD. Yeah. It's somewhat proprietary apparently too, like they're working with whatever manufacturers, but
I'm sure they can do that.
With an SSD, that does seem like the future.
How quick with an SSD?
So 0.8 seconds versus 15 seconds.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, with SSDs, do you foresee them, like how high would that raise the price if they were to do some kind of SSD standard?
I think them being proprietary is very important. The other thing you have to remember, and everyone quote me on this because I'm going to be wrong. So I think there are SSDs that will plug directly into your motherboard, much like a graphics card, I think. Oh. And so I want to say that's usually for other applications besides games, but for a game, that puts all that memory stupid close to your graphics card. It puts it stupid close to your CPU, so and your RAM, and so loading it is just stupid quick. At that rate, while it functions much like a cartridge would on an old cartridge system, which had basically no load times, this will be that, but to a certain degree even quicker. And it depends if they fully integrate it, which I don't really recommend because then they can't necessarily repair it.
Okay.
But yeah, if they fully integrate that sucker, man, it's such a big deal. But yeah, price wise, I've been told the prices are going down. I really don't know enough about it, but yeah, that's such a big leap. And you think of streaming, how big streaming's got.
Yeah.
You think of maybe you can do tricks that you couldn't do before, like saving the physics state of an object that's just out of vision, and then sort of bringing it back, or doing equations on stuff that's in memory. You really can't work with memory in a quick space, but having it be that quick rate like that, there's almost no difference between RAM and especially
and the hard drive.
Yeah, and yeah, so that. Yeah, price wise, I just don't know. But proprietary, if they're getting some proprietary tech, hopefully they can get something, because that's a huge jump that PCs still have. I mean, they're still so expensive on PCs.
Well, with PCs though, the kind of standard from what I see is like people have their SSD, they have their operating system on it, maybe the one game they're playing, and then their regular HDD that's whatever 5 terabytes and store everything. Is that out of the realm where PS4 or PS5 and the next Xbox they offer an SSD and also an HDD included in the whole thing? So they have their 2 terabytes included, but also the SSD where it's up to you to just move stuff around, move your game you're playing. I feel like that wouldn't be out of the question.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So that's just one aspect. He didn't. Mark Cerny didn't reveal too much, but he talked about SSDs being the thing they're focusing on to improve loading times, but also the fact that it's going to have ray tracing support for the PS5. I don't know much about ray tracing. What do you know? How can you give me a dummies course on ray tracing? Has to do with light, right? Lighting.
Well, and we've talked about this because they had that with that. What was that Metro game that you played?
Oh, Exodus. Oh, yeah. Okay. They had support with that
was one of the big things, and they even I've seen tech videos on it, and they're like, it's not really true ray tracing. It's just one light is all you can do, and most time you see it, it is one light or heavily modified, and it's super in its infancy. And to really put I really get concerned when people are throwing all their money on this tech right now because what they'd have to do in here is hardware accelerate, which they are with some of these graphics cards, but I don't think it's really not. It doesn't feel like the holy grail of graphics that it used to be.
Gotcha.
Like the tricks people are using make the game look, and you see these companies switch, the RTX on and the RTX off for the ray tracing.
Okay.
And it's not a big enough difference that I care.
Gotcha.
But I guess this is just me being a stick in the mud.
Or they're future-proofing somewhat, saying like, hey, we're going to support that.
But it's not, though, because this is a console and you can't upgrade it. With your computer, you can change that out. You can get a better one.
Gotcha.
But with this, you're
stuck.
Yeah, you're stuck.
Well, he did bring up an interesting thing with ray tracing, or one possibility is that they're focusing on 3D audio. So they're saying that with ray tracing, you could also do that because the audio would be treated as another ray of light or something reflected for that. So let me pull up this quote.
That's a fantastic use of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I actually have the GameSpot article pulled up. It's by Timur Hussein. We've had his stuff before.
That's pretty crazy that you'd be using your graphics card as your audio card. Because it went from having an audio card to having that built into your motherboard.
Yeah.
And then now it's going on to another card.
So I'm going to pull up this quote. This is from Mark Cerny. So in fact, this is them kind of overviewing the whole thing. In fact, audio is one of the main improvements Cerny is keen to talk about. The AMD chip will enable 3D audio, and this, according to Cerny, is key to immersing players deeper. This naturally led to discussions of PlayStation VR. While Cerny didn't confirm whether a new version of Sony's headset will be released, the existing one will be supported. Okay, so yeah, that's just one of the things that they're apparently going to use ray tracing, or they're just focusing on more, in-depth or detailed audio going to the next gen, which I wouldn't mind improvements on because I feel like that's kind of been left behind somewhat.
Yeah. I do think that would be a huge leap, and that'd be cool.
Yep. So we also have backwards compatibility with PS4, which seems like a no-brainer.
I'll believe it when I see it. Is PS4 compatible with the PS3?
It's not, but PS3 was that cell chip, and it was apparently notoriously hard to develop for. So now with PS4, it's like a PC architecture. I feel like that most likely would be easier for them than the other ones. They didn't say whether PS2, PS4, or PS3.
God, I forgot about the cell.
Yeah. Which you could, really just like pull awesome visuals off of it, but you had to know what you were doing as far as developing for it. It caused a lot of chaos, apparently. Yeah. But like if you look at Naughty Dog doing Uncharted and Last of Us, they could really just gain everything out of that cell chip, but it made it hard for cross-platform development. Yeah. But yeah, one thing that makes me angry when I read this is that they talk about 8K resolution support. I feel like that's 5-10 years from now, if that. It's why even why I guess it's just like a marketing thing to throw it in there, like, hey, we theoretically you could do 8K resolution, but no one's going to be doing that.
I mean, some people care. I don't
know
any
like
of those people.
Pixels too, but I love the resolution, but 4K is awesome, and you can buy that in the store. Also, like, who's really buying? People are just barely buying 4K TVs. Yeah. No one is going to be buying an 8K TV in the next 5 years.
Yeah. I think they're trying to feed. I mean, honestly, and I was this way with 4K to a large extent too. And I'll admit it's probably time to, like, I was super late update with HD. It's probably time to upgrade to to 4K
Yeah,
now.
they're super cheap now.
But I would rather have something be in 4K and just look stupid pretty
Yeah.
than it be somewhat pretty and be in 8K.
Yeah, I mean, it just it gets my
Or have it be in 60 frames per second or
Right, there's
120
other things
frames
to
per
improve.
second.
Yep.
Yeah, people will take 60 frames or 120 frames per second over 8K any day.
Oh yeah.
Most of the time.
It seems like the standard on PC anyways is like 1080p, but you're doing 60 frames on all games. Like that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't really do. I mean, you can do, but it's like you have to have a beefy machine to
Yeah.
do 4K gaming at a high frame rate. But yeah, I don't know. It's just leave that out. Just you focus on 4K maybe.
Yeah.
It's just you're not going to be streaming anything in 8K. You're not going to be getting any 8K Blu-rays or anything.
No.
So why are you worried about it?
No.
But I don't know. It just made me angry. But and then some kind of PSVR support for the current iteration and possibly the next iteration too.
That'd be good for VR though, because if you can push those stupid big resolutions like
Yeah.
8K, it's gonna make VR look way better though.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, so I mean, they just kind of announced that they're working on it and gave some details. I wonder if this is also to maybe take some steam away from Xbox's announcements. They had that same week because this was actually early morning news for that same day that Xbox One did their official release of the all digital edition.
I think it's kind of nice that it sort of de-hypes the Stadia in a little bit.
A little bit. As far as you talking about Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation, because you look at the fact that like with the Stadia, they're trying to get 8K, so they're saying, okay, we can do 8K.
Oh, okay.
This thing saying instant loading times. Stadia was saying almost instant loading times. These would actually be faster, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Interesting.
And
so maybe more of a response to Stadia than anything else.
I mean, I think they were going to do this regardless.
Gotcha.
But I think that's maybe why they were necessarily driving home those factors and show they are competitive, and they can still do it in the middle of the woods, right? Or someplace where you don't have the internet, and most people aren't going to have internet that can do that.
He did mention, I didn't pull that up, but they have no intention early on of doing like an all digital version. There is a disk drive, it is a dedicated console. But I do find it interesting. So at least with them kind of figuring out their next year, like they said, it's not releasing in 2019. So most likely I feel like 2020. And what's interesting is the next E3 that we'll have in 2020. So PlayStation's not there for this one. Mm-hmm. When they come back for that E3, they're just going to be dropping bombs. They're going to be like Oprah, like you get a car, because they're going to have the PS5 to show. That's going to release that year, I imagine. Mm-hmm. They're going to have these exclusive titles that they haven't been, really been showing much of or saying when they're coming out, like say Death Stranding. You have the next Last of Us. Mm-hmm. You have a couple other exclusives that they have under their belt that they haven't showed yet. So I feel like that's going to be an interesting E3 when they can really, release stuff. But they're kind of gearing towards that.
That could be really cool. I would just be worried from the perspective of like, and Nintendo fans felt like this for a long time during some of the GameCube years, and especially during the Wii years, where it's just like we'd have a year where they didn't really announce anything. Like, all right, there's going to be something. Next year is going to be the killer. And then, well, for us, it wasn't really the killer. And maybe they'll, at least use that year to catch up and get something cool. But it does suck having a drought year.
Right.
Which the Wii and especially the Wii U were all drought years.
Wii U was all drought. Yeah. That was sad times. But so our next news article is this diskless Xbox. So it's been, called the Xbox SAD, which is a really bad idea marketing wise.
I think it should be called I think the good nickname would be the Xbox Peck, because it just makes me think of the joke in Ghostbusters where they're all in a meeting and one of the guys yells and he's like, "And dickless over here, shut off the power grid and cause this whole thing." He goes, "Is this true?" And he goes, "It's true, Your Honor. This man has no dick." So we have the dickless.
I see.
Yeah. The Xbox Pack. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing.
Let's start it, Kevin.
Sorry.
It's better than the SAD for sure. But we kind of talked about some of the leaks. It seemed to be a pretty. Is that what it's going to look like? Yeah. So they and also part of their marketing for the SAD is it's showing their team kind of like working on visually how to release it, and they have some of their like their artists just delete on Photoshop, just delete that disk drive, so it's just that white. But it kind of shows them. It just shows them kind of like you should look up that commercial. But it almost shows their team like they're idiots because they're just and it can never phase them. Look, we just delete it and it's gone. And like, let's release a console like that. It's a very strange commercial. I'm not sure who it's for.
See, here's the thing. So it's a very simple design. I really wish they had.
I like how it looks.
They should have gone vertical. They should have put 2 little stands on each side, and at the top they put a little triangle, so it's a 1. So you have the Xbox One.
Yikes. Yeah, you could do that. And they just really want to make sure it doesn't get sold at all. Yeah. A lot of them seem to have gone away from the option to stand up. Like I get that. I think most of them support it, but they really don't show it off that way.
Sure.
Like they don't really intend it to be.
Fair enough.
But I wonder why that's the case.
I bet you can still set them vertically.
Yeah.
I don't really see a reason why you can't. I know it's a bad deal if you have it vertical or horizontal and then you have a disc spinning in it and you turn it.
Oh, God. Yeah. Does it just like carve your name into the disc, basically?
Your name very quickly.
Yeah. So, they announced it. It's a discless all digital Xbox One X or One S rather. It's $250, 1 terabyte. Come out in May, and it's going to have 3 download codes for Sea of Thieves, for Forza Horizon 3, and for Minecraft. What was interesting is the price point. It's $250. That's a bummer.
I know you were guessing lower.
I was guessing lower. It's kind of like, why would you put this out? Who's this for? Now, granted, there's a lot to unpack, right? So that the $250 is the MSRP. So that's their suggested retail price. It's up to the retailers to then go, okay, that's cool. Let's charge $200 for it or whatever.
Here's the thing with that though. Some of these companies have what's called a minimum minimum sale price.
Okay.
So they're not actually allowed to go under a certain price.
That's fair.
But yeah, I don't.
So it's not going to be $100. Like it's going to be within some window. They did say officially that with the Xbox One S normal, they intend that this version will always be $50 lower than that one. So whenever they have adjustments in that MSRP, this will also always be $250 under that, or sorry, $50 under that. So right now you can find for $200, you can find a 1 terabyte bundle. There's Division 2 bundles. There's still just bundles with all the latest games that have come out for $200-ish. So it seems weird to offer this at $250, but we'll see if that changes. I think the sweet spot is either $200 or ideally $150 for me. Like I feel like that's a no-brainer. A lot of people would pick it up at the end of this console cycle. That kind of left a lot of weird taste in a lot of people's mouths. But there's still time to create bundles or discounts and that kind of thing when this drops.
But it is still the S, right? So it can still do 4K.
It is the S. Yeah, it can still do 4K, just not the 4K Blu-ray, which the original one had that drive for a 4K Blu-ray drive.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, like Kotaku pulled up just a price comparison where the Division 2 bundle, 1 terabyte, is also $250. And that comes with a game and a disc drive. So, yeah, I don't know. At least, you know what? As much as I want to talk crap about it, it's them taking a step back to that original Xbox One launch where they're trying to go in more of a digital, path where they maybe focus on that more. I like that they're doing that. They're going back to that because they kind of, reeled it back when they had such a negative backlash on that. Yeah. I just like that now we're getting the gears rolling towards at least 2 SKUs for all these different consoles where if you want to do your digital, that's cool. Here you go. If you want to do disc, here you go. I like that option, and I think they're going towards a step of that option.
Yeah.
It's a misstep, but yeah.
And as a PC user, I totally get it. I have never used my PC's disk drive.
Right? Yeah. I don't use my disk drive on any of my consoles. Yeah. I just download. Or like the Switch, I love that I can just download all my games on it. That's great. But I get that most people or a lot of people aren't going to do that. Yeah. That's cool if they want to go to GameStop and for some reason have fun. You ever go to GameStop just on a whim? Like it's the most horrible place to go to. There's one person that works there and they're dead or they're out smoking outside. And so there's just a ton of people in there and kids. And it's just, I hate it. I hate going there.
They're trying to get you to pre-order the...
Yeah, which we have an article on GameStop and kind of them in flux.
Oh my goodness.
So that's the 1S, all digital. We'll see. And then E3 is coming around the corner. Maybe they kind of spin it and offer a different package. I think could be something done with that. This was the week before, but you weren't here. So it was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that was announced. I want to get your take on it. So it's a game by Respawn in the Star Wars universe.
It
seems cool, right?
I hope it's good.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be good, but that being said, that was just a pre-rendered trailer,
Right.
so we didn't see shit.
We didn't see shit. Nope. There's a couple things. So it's being done by Respawn. So they're Apex Legends, they're Titanfall. The engine they're running is Unreal Engine 4.
Fucking good.
Right. So it's kind of interesting that.
It'll just work.
Right. Yeah. So what was the last big misstep? Oh, it was Anthem having to use the Frostbite, and some of the issues they had with development apparently was them trying to make things work for Frostbite, and how it just has a bunch of issues.
Yeah.
Although Respawn, still owned by EA, is able to kind of do what they want. It seems like, which is awesome that they get to decide what engine they're using.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's Respawn. It's a single player game in the Star Wars universe, which is cool. One thing they've been toting in their whole advertising campaign is the fact that it's there's no microtransactions and it's no loot boxing. But yeah, is it just is it jerking themselves off? Or, yeah, yeah, because it's like a problem, and I've seen other people bring this up. It's a problem they created and then go, hey, for the first time, you don't have to worry about that. It's like, you guys did that. Like, why were we? Yeah. But I guess they're jumping on. Maybe that's the way to market it. But yeah, it was very strange. But at least they're going that route like they should have from the beginning.
I give it 5 years before Bethesda makes the same claim.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, they also I watched I don't know if you've watched a Jimquisition. I stopped watching a long time ago.
One of his tweets was bringing that up, how they kind of created this problem and now have a fix for that problem. But yeah.
He did this video on Elder Scrolls, the Swords or whatever it's called on your phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, is it Swords or Shields or something? It's
Shield?
like
that could be.
It's something like that, but it's their mobile game. Yeah,
it is abysmal. It is
really?
Like it's you going around having terrible combat. Blades. There we go. Terrible combat, and then you smash pots, and it's like you don't get the loot like you do just normally.
Okay.
What you get is a loot box, which then you then have to open with like a 7-minute or 7-second opening animation, and nothing's good in any of it. Only the premium ones. And you can buy premium ones, even though it's the alpha, and it's just like, what?
Interesting.
Hottest pile of garbage.
It's like they're grabbing money as much as they can until people fully react negatively, and then they go, okay. It's almost like they're trying to push as much as they can, and then they back up. Yeah. Like with this reaction with the next Star Wars. Yeah, they're just gonna kind of push it until they can, and they go, okay.
I think it'll be interesting if they start doing sort of what EA did, where they start affecting the product. 'Cause it feels like Bethesda affects things that we traditionally think of as Bethesda products. Not before id was with Bethesda, or maybe they always were and I didn't know about it, but it seemed like they weren't for a long time. So now we have, you look at Doom is Doom, and Doom won't have loot boxes, right? You look at Rage was originally was id. No loot boxes. We get another Wolfenstein, no loot boxes. Yeah. But if you have a proper id software game come out and it's got that shitty monetization, it's got multiplayer where, albeit, I think the multiplayer for the new Doom is exciting. Yeah. Because it's supposed to be like Dark Souls style.
Okay, I actually haven't seen anything on the multiplayer, but yeah.
Yeah, you can just pop in and attempt to murder somebody.
Gotcha.
And then when they win, they get rewards, or if you win, you get rewards. And it's like, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I see. Well, yeah. Maybe, we'll see with this next generation or this next couple of years, these companies roll back or I guess change up their loot box, their microtransaction attempts to get
to a new thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna be subbing to them on Instagram.
Yeah. Which, although there's something to be said where they kind of, it seems like they're desperately trying to find ways to make these games more lucrative because the dev costs are just going up so high, and they're stuck for some reason still charging $60. They're just trying everything they can to recoup the cost, but there's got to be a better way to do it.
I think the next one coming up is going to be a reality show. So we fund the game, right? So you can fund individual departments. You can fund the art department, the programming department, the multiplayer department. And then we watch the reality show, and they're trying to make their things look good, and they'll see, I don't know, people get fired at the end of it.
Jesus. Sounds awesome, but
I'm
people
sorry,
are gonna
Steven.
cry.
You've been burnt out. Goodbye.
Wow. This could at least be good as a parody. Like, that'd be an awesome skit.
Would be.
Wow. But I would love to if this was a actual reality show, yeah, just people funding these departments and just giving like way too much money to whatever like just shitty department that does, I don't know, whatever.
Art
and
department
then,
doesn't know what to do with it anymore.
Yeah. But that's interesting.
I'll take it.
So sort of tied to the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order news drop was today. This article by PC Gamer was just talking about Apex Legends and how their streams have dropped by 75% in just a month. I don't know if that's indicative of anything. These games always go through like when they're super popular and they kind of eventually drop off. But I don't know if you had anything to add to that. PC Gamer pulled up. They have a little graph here.
Whoa.
So while Fortnite, which is, maybe everyone's major competitor, but especially Apex, has stayed at a good 20 million, these are 20 million hours watched on Fortnite or on Twitch, rather. And Apex started up 37, 40 million, and by the same time next month, dropped down to about 11 million hours viewed on Twitch. So, I mean, I don't know if that means anything or if it's just these fads happen with these games. Do they have a window of time to kind of make as much money as they can and then get out, or what?
I mean, it could be part of it is like Fortnite has added so much content so damn regularly. You kind of I mean, that's the way it was with me with League of Legends. I couldn't stop playing it because I had to keep up with all the content. And that's how I eventually broke my addiction. Is I took a year, like I took a good chunk off. And it was so hard to keep up with the meta, I just couldn't come back, which was nice.
But everything they were releasing kept you interested in playing.
Oh, it was great.
Right? Yeah.
Great. I'd get all addicted all over again if I could. Yeah. But with Apex, it feels like, especially with that, the updates they've had, what have they had? They had a couple of laser guns. Maybe it's just one. No, yeah, it was just one.
At least a new player, a new character.
Yeah, which I don't know. Did he play that differently than anyone
I don't
else?
remember.
He didn't look that different. It's cool that he can heal while not sitting around.
Okay.
I think
he can run
constantly. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so he can heal at full sprint. And he's got some cool mechanics.
I know he looked like the Borderlands main character dude, but that's all I remember from it. Because he had like the weird face mask and
I think that part of it too is like that game almost toes the line between like a player unknown battleground and sort of a God, what's that game?
Another
Overwatch.
Overwatch, okay.
Right, because Overwatch has those big kind of crazy abilities, and these are like tamer versions.
Oh,
of that.
sure, yeah.
And that this guy came out and was even tamer. It's like.
But is that them just trying to balance everything, and that's why they don't want to go too drastic with whatever new character, or?
But it's not exciting, like, for something to be balanced because it's tame.
Okay.
Like you would never. Yeah, like if there was a border or an Overwatch character that came out that like was super balanced because they were super. I mean, that's why even Soldier's not even that exciting.
Gotcha.
But a lot of people like him because they can aim like crazy and he'll reward that. But
okay.
I don't know. As far as viewing though, I hope it's because of the cheaters, but I know it's not because of the cheaters in that game.
In Apex?
Yeah, that's why I quit.
Gotcha.
Every fucking game.
Or, I feel like the cheating aspect is more common on PC versus consoles. But
sure, that's fair.
But with League, you're talking about being addicted to it. How often were you playing per day, you think?
I think at my worst, well, I had a really shitty job, so I just want to go home. I want to drink beer and zone out. So I think at my worst,
I think that's 99% of people are like doing the same thing you're talking about.
I'd be playing like 6 hours per night, every single night, losing tons of sleep when I had to work 18-hour days.
Yeah.
So it was pretty.
When did you finally what did you do to shake out of it?
It was just my girlfriend just said like, this is not healthy.
Gotcha.
Like, please stop. And I was like, okay.
All right.
So I think I just sort of, I mostly cold turkey that one.
Gotcha.
That was tough.
Dang. I feel that way about City Skylines sometimes.
Really?
Where like I'll start playing and then I look up and it's 4 a.m. and I'm like, oh God, what happened?
I'm getting that way with Slay the Spire again. I've been playing that one too.
Yeah.
Risk of Rain doesn't have me till 4 a.m. because I know with Risk of Rain, like that's almost a tricky bit because Risk of Rain you can't quit out and come back.
Okay.
And Slay the Spire, you totally could, but you just got going. You just got your new card.
Yeah, that's
I'm
that
gonna
itch where
see
you're
what
just
I
kinda
can. Yeah. Like, oh, how much damage can I do in one turn? Yeah.
Right here, just yeah, it's a struggle for a lot of us. Yeah, so this was one of my last news articles here. This was just kind of going back to, we were talking a little bit about GameStop. So I've kind of felt this way for a while, but they actually have some sales to back it up. But they're starting to. Oh no, this isn't the same one. The next article will be about GameStop dwindling in sales. But so in that reaction to their dwindling sales and the fact that everyone's going all digital, they're trying these different options to give people who come into the store. So they have a new program they're launching where they'll offer a full store credit refund for a game if you purchase it within 48 hours and bring it back.
Ooh, credit.
So, yeah, it's store credit. It's not a full fledged refund, but it's only certain titles. So they're starting it this week with the release of Days Gone, which is a PS4 exclusive.
God, I hope that's good.
Me too. What's interesting about Days Gone is the review embargo doesn't end till at least 2 days or 1 day before the release. I don't know. So usually when they do that, it's to counteract the fact that the scores aren't going to be that good.
Makes me nervous.
Exactly. But it does, what I see from it looks decent. At least looks like a fun time. It's not going to maybe blow your hair back, but it looks fine. But anyways, they're launching this this service with Days Gone. I feel like this is kind of one of their attempts to really, whatever they can, get people buying their games at the store and not going all online. But yeah.
Well, hopefully it's good.
Yeah. I don't want to see GameStop disappear. But at the same time, they don't offer anything for me. I think they do service a lot of people who want to buy physical discs. That's fine. But I mean, I don't see any benefit. I don't see any reason to have them around. But I also don't want them to go away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much the selling your old game culture still exists really anymore.
Right.
And if I had the option to support a mom and pop shop doing the same thing, I would.
That's the thing, and maybe those will kind of be left once the dust settles with GameStop, because we have one in town called One Up Games. I go there all the time to buy like random cords for whatever old console I have, or like controllers. I like going there and just kind of hanging out, and I do like supporting the fact that it's a locally owned business. But yeah, it's just something like it's tied to every gamer. I think GameStop, like they have everyone's been there. I remember the days of like the midnight launches, which are nuts that's not a thing anymore. It's like completely crazy.
Those were pretty fun,
right? They eventually towards the end they started doing like they'd have a local radio station there. They'd have events and stuff, and it was just cool to go. But yeah.
I think I miss, and I wish like, what was it? They did I remember, I think it was Halo 2.
Yeah. They
had a tournament, and if you won the tournament, you got to get the first copy.
That's line. Awesome.
You got first. It's like, that's so awesome. That should come back. I think we did.
Although, how would you do that? I mean, you can have tournaments though, but
well, that person just gets front of line.
Sure, but then no one's in line for anything anymore. Like you're not in line for a game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could do that with the Switch now because it's portable, so people can be playing. But how would you monitor that? Like, you can't really.
But yeah, it was maybe a remnant of that time where, because I don't know if you sit in line with me, but for Halo 3, I remember staying in line at GameStop. Maybe, but that was maybe one of the last ones that I stayed in line for.
Was it Gears?
Maybe Gears, but there was only a few that I actually stayed and got it, but. Yeah, it's just, that's times change. And, like we used to hang out and walk around Blockbusters. We don't do that anymore. Now we just sit in Netflix and scroll. That's our equivalent, is just scrolling through Netflix.
Spent so much time walking around Blockbusters.
Yeah,
I'd be there for like an hour before I picked out something. I was still not satisfied.
Yep. I remember renting a lot of games through Blockbuster too. Mm-hmm. And having that, there's always a moment where I'd want to get a game that was rated M. At this time I'm like, I don't know, 13 or something like that, and trying to convince my mom that it's not that big of a deal, or that or just try to like slyly pass it to the guy, for him to just pass it through.
He knows.
Yeah, but it's always just like Indiana Jones trade moment, like where it's just trying to make it work and trying to make my mom think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'm just renting BMX XXX or whatever.
Oh my God. I still remember the time I tricked my mom into letting me rent Conker's Bad for a day.
Oh, nice. I never got to play that.
It's my tied for top game of all time.
What? That's
Yep.
awesome.
It's
Now, wait, she bought it for you or you rented it?
rented it, but it's
Gotcha.
got so the thing is, and it was smart of them to do that because it looks so cutesy. They put a massive label across it saying "Super warning."
Yeah.
It looks like it's a kids game, but it's not a kids game. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Or you're just like, Mom, don't worry about that. It's really a kid's game.
yeah, it's still rented for me. I loved it. It was great. It
Yeah.
probably hasn't. No, it's probably actually aged fine.
I want to say they've done a 3DS port or something.
Nope.
There was a report something in some form, right?
They did a Xbox.
Maybe that's what it was.
3
360?
It might have been the original.
There was some
Xbox.
kind of port where you could play it again. I do remember that in some capacity. Maybe PC.
It was just Xbox.
Oh, okay.
It looked gorgeous. It looked like an Xbox. Wait, what was it? What came
Well,
out to Xbox? Was it Xbox?
the 360?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it looked like an Xbox 360 game, even though it was on the Xbox. It was even using like Xbox Live,
Oh, okay.
even though people weren't like crazy playing that and
Yeah.
stuff. I still wonder how well it would have done on the if it'd come out on the 360, and they could have even made it stupid prettier, which it was still so stupid pretty for an Xbox game.
Let's put it on the Switch.
Oh my god, I'd be so
Everything
happy.
should be on the Switch.
It totally work if it can work on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Right. But it did. I think they released it with the Rare Collection.
Oh, that
Yeah.
might have been it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I
that
remember
was and it's fine. But that was the 64 version, just upscaled,
Gotcha.
which is still great.
Yeah.
Still gonna make you laugh.
That's awesome. I need to. I never played that one day.
Does that say what I think it says?
Upcoming games to watch. I pulled some games that I don't know if you've seen already, but I thought would be interesting to show you and kind of get your take on. So they're usually a lot of these are indie titles, but we have Black Future 88. This is a cyberpunk style roguelike. It's by Super Scary Snakes.
I hate that developer name though.
Okay.
I will say.
Well,
This game's probably gonna win
turn
me
it off.
over, but they were like they went with the first thing they thought of. Oh
Yeah.
my pretty.
So I have the trailer pulled up, and I'll post the trailer on here too. But yeah, I just thought the gameplay looked really cool. Once this there is a gameplay in this trailer too, but yeah.
But why is it called Black to the Future?
Well, Black Future, and I get a huge, obviously there's like a cyberpunk.
Oh,
feel
I
to
read it as Black to the Future.
Yeah,
Like a black version of Back to the Future.
maybe they're working on it,
Oh, that's pretty.
right? Yeah, so I mean, it looks totally up my alley. Like I'm in this mood lately where either The Messenger or Katana Zero, like I want to play this style of game.
Mm-hmm.
It looks dope. I'm pretty sure it's Switch as well. I'm gonna scroll down here.
I'm gonna keep running.
But yeah, I don't know. What does this do to you?
Did it say
Internally.
ruin friendship with Couch
Yeah.
Co-op? Yes. You know.
Yeah, how do you feel about this?
I like the big bullets.
Yeah.
That it looks
The
like
lasers
they're
that take over half the screen as they cut across it.
right. They're clearly putting while it's a pretty game, they're clearly putting gameplay first.
Gotcha.
So that could be good. I hope it's good.
Looks cool. Just wanted to get your take on that one. We have this one. It's not a full-fledged release, but it's called Negative Atmosphere. It's a crowd-funded Dead Space game by Sunscorch Studios.
Crowdfunded Dead Space game.
Yeah,
What
so
am
they're
I-
basically it's still in
that's a great logo.
right. It's still in funding, crowdsourced funding, where you can contribute to the game. But they're basically trying to replicate Dead Space, not full-blown copy it, but just like an homage to it, where you have your character, it's third person, all the
Did you say not to copy it?
right. Well, I think they're trying to do like an homage to it, and the fact that this style of game has kind of disappeared.
This
But,
is just making me think of that. Did you see the Dreams Dead Space clone?
I think I looked at images of it or something. I didn't look at the footage, but yeah.
Pretty good.
Which this reminds me of Sidestep with Dreams. I think that's our engine for that dad temperature simulator. I feel like just let you use my PlayStation to talk to you in a year and see what you've made out of that. Because you also have to learn how to use Dreams, which looks pretty deep and nuts at the same time. But
Yeah.
yeah,
There was it Dreams or was it? It may have been the Little Big Planet editor. I want to say it was the Dreams editor, but if it was Little Big Planet, it makes it that much more impressive.
Yeah.
Somebody, I think it was Little Big Planet, recreated Super Mario Maker in
Within
that
it?
engine.
Whoa.
And it was fully usable.
Jeez.
I was like, how you just make games?
Well, how do you not
You are
use
literally making a game. Just do it with something else.
Yeah.
That's way harder. You were doing so much more work than you need to.
They're nuts. They love it, I guess.
Oh my god.
How do you not use that mind to fight ISIS? Like that kind of power within someone? They need to be curing cancer. Like, that's awesome.
Different kind of mind.
Yeah. But I was just kind of getting your take on that. It's basically almost a 1-for-1 Dead Space
Yeah.
clone-ish. I just like that maybe they'll change it up later in development, but
Yeah.
it's just almost like an homage, like, hey, we missed this kind of gameplay. And it's maybe to EA saying, hey, do another Dead Space.
Can you still tear apart these
You can,
generic looking zombies?
Yeah, yep. You can dismember them. The stomp is there. What we saw on screen was like those huge Xbox looking console like boxes where you stomp them for health and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are there. His health indicators on the player.
Just firing away at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I feel
yeah.
about that.
There's that one. This one is interesting. So we had a conversation. Well, we just kind of talked about it, maybe one of the first episodes, about Native American representation in games. And so this game is going full force into that direction. So it's called This Is My Land. It's an open world game with a native perspective on early colonial settlers. It's by Game Labs. I'm going to pull up the trailer here.
Yeah.
So it's like it has a really strong Red Dead 2 style, but it's like a stealth based game where you're following these native people dealing with just colonial settlers and I imagine having to fight them. But the world looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we don't get a full glimpse of like the combat,
Mhm.
but it's really just kind of an intro into the environment.
Yeah.
But it's a small team apparently,
Yep.
and they're able to really.
It does look like a game made by a small team, and that's
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, I will say it's a fun juxtaposition from, I guess, Amazon's Game Studios was making basically the opposite of this,
Oh really?
where you were a settler taking over the land
Gotcha.
from the Native Americans.
I'm gonna look that up right now.
Ooh. Watch, they just flip the game. They're like, no, it's called Settlers now.
Right. I'm not sure how I would actually find that, but it's an Amazon dev studio.
Yeah, Amazon making game about settling the West.
Maybe I can find this on their page. Yeah, maybe I'll pull this up for next time. The games, here we go.
I mean, they may have honestly stopped.
New World, I figure.
That may be it.
Cover Disney looks like the players. 17th century world, maybe. Crucible. I guess it'd have to be.
Crucible's kind of pretty looking.
Yeah, I'll pull some of this stuff up, but
That looks.
well, you have the anonymous mask there. That's cool. Yeah,
It's a big bear.
I don't know, but it'd be interesting if these released, close to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that was I'm interested to see when they start showing some gameplay and kind of more details on it. But I'm about it, if they kind of just take a different style or approach to some super gray, weird aspects of history. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, we got Untitled Goose Game. This is this reminded me of Donut County meets Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
This is by developer House. I'm not quite sure what you're supposed to do besides just fuck with people in this town as a goose, but it's pretty awesome. So it's on Switch.
The ultimate fantasy.
Yeah,
Oh,
So just check this
I
out.
get why you're getting Donut County vibes from this.
just like the art style and stuff.
It's not the same developer, is it?
No, House is this developer, and it's I forget the name of the studio for Donut County, but it's one guy for Donut County.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a horrible goose.
Yeah. Eventually, they'll
I
show
do
this.
hope they put in sort of a reference to. Are you goosing people? Is that what you're gonna do? Oh no, you're gonna steal theirs. I hope they put in a reference to Hot Fuzz.
Yeah. What?
That was a running plot line in Hot Fuzz. Was
it?
somebody's goose was loose. And
I don't remember.
Yeah, because at the first he was your goose is loose, okay, and your name P.I. Staker. Ha ha, very funny. Piss taker. And then it just cuts to him just like, yeah, and the goose looks like what?
Oh, right.
Is how big? And so it'll pop up during scenes like they're doing a
Okay.
chase scene and there's the goose.
That's awesome. I haven't seen it in a while.
Actually, the goose saves the day at the end of the movie.
Does
Yeah, he saves the day. I watched this not that long ago.
he?
Good
awesome.
movie.
This one is super weird looking. It's Void Bastards. It's a Borderlands style cell shaded shooter. Have you seen it already?
I hope it's good. Yeah, it's like a
Blue
strategic
Manchu Games.
first-person roguelite where you're hopping from ship to ship trying to get upgraded, but the ships are extremely treacherous, so you don't necessarily want to explore the whole ship. So you look at your map at the beginning, see kind of what risk do I want to take, what risk do I not want to take, and get through as safely as you possibly can.
Gotcha.
With just a lot of cool procedurally generated.
Yeah, the
stuff
art
to it.
style was nuts to me. It's because it's like a cell shaded cartoon, but like in a different style where I feel like it does separate from like a Borderlands or another cell shaded game.
Well, Borderlands needs like original Doom, essentially.
Right. That's a good way to explain it. It looks really cool. Like I'm excited. I'm a sucker a lot of times for a cool art style, and this one gets me for sure.
Yeah. I do find it kind of weird at the beginning when they're just like the developers of System Shock, BioShock. This game has nothing to do with those games, so why even bring those up? Like,
I guess there's a selling point.
It's like the creators of StarCraft going, you know.
Yeah, and we're looking at like aspects of the game where it's like FTL, where you're kind of managing the stuff.
Well, I think that was the map, right? That was the map of the ship. So you look at the ship, you see the hazards, you go in, try and grab what you can, and get out before you get murderized. So that's
and then
to my
you go
understanding.
in first person.
Yeah. So I don't think you really have a ship yourself. You're kind of going from ship to ship.
Gotcha.
So.
Looks dope.
Yeah.
And we have one of the last ones, Close to the Sun. It's a BioShock meets Tesla. You might have seen some of this stuff already for sure. But this is from Storm in a Cup and the Teacup Studios.
Great name.
But it's very much BioShock tones to it. Where you have this, I want to say it's still Sunken City.
Sure.
But it's like this take on just like you had not Ayn Rand, you had whatever billionaire in BioShock who created the underground world. You have this guy who's very similar to Tesla, kind of taking that same idea, and it's this utopia that goes wrong.
Yeah, it's still got that. What is that neo-Gothic art style or Gothic art style?
Maybe.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, and this one apparently it's less on shooting and more of a puzzle based game. But
cool.
Yeah, it comes out. There is a release date for it.
Yeah,
it'll be on the Epic Game Studio.
That'd be nice too. It's sort of like it's got that classic. If it's less on the shooting, it could sort of be good for people that kind of like that. You get a lot of games or certainly board games and stuff about like Cthulhu-esque stuff, and it certainly harkens back to that time period. So it would be nice in this case to sort of get something in that like with that look that doesn't have the Cthulhu just sort of rubbed on.
Oh, I see.
So you're like, oh, God, I get it.
Yeah, there have been, I feel like, a couple of Cthulhu-based or games trying to tie to that.
Yeah.
Forget the author of that, but he's super well known for his stuff. But yeah. But yeah, that's releasing soon, so maybe we'll see some reviews and stuff on Close to the Sun, May 2nd.
There's another good game that I'm excited for from the developers of, I forget the name of it, but it was, I just saw footage from it. The original guys that developed,
was it like a
Darksiders 1 and 2?
Oh, okay.
So I guess a different developer did Darksiders 3, and they're working on this game that's a third-person shooter, and you are...
it's a Vigil, THQ Nordic, Gunfire Games.
Vigil maybe... I think they went under, but I think these are just the developers from it.
Right.
You could probably look up new game from the creators of Darksiders.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a third-person shooter. It looks like the enemies just look really fun to fight. Like they're coming at you with cool attack patterns and stuff like that. And it's like 3-player co-op, and you really get to customize your characters. Yeah, it looks super super duper neat, and it's got a decent amount of Maybe that was it. Gunfire Games. Yeah.
Chronos? No, that came out. Remnant from the Ashes.
Maybe Revenant from the Ashes. Yeah, it's got a really cool art style. It's semi-procedurally generated, so the levers are kind of, I don't know whether they're randomized or sort of put together in a random order.
Yeah.
And it just looks like it's taking a lot of good stuff, and that'd be a good, fun, couple of hours with some buds.
Yeah.
And yeah, but the art style is gorgeous, and it looks fun to play.
I wonder if this is it. It looks like a team-based kind of shooter thing.
Yeah, 3 players. We'll see once we see the enemies. It's got...
They're like these like demon-esque kind of underworld things.
Hell's kind of taken over. It's pretty.
It looks cool.
Yeah, I'm super down.
But this is the one?
Yep, that's it. Look at that cool-ass enemy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the style a lot, the art style.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely got that thing from Doom where it's that Doom philosophy of make me think, make me move. So when you see people actually playing with an encounter of enemies, they're tactically moving and rolling and picking the correct targets to take out first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, it looks like a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Remnant from the Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was, these are Darksiders developers, so it looks like Gunfire Games is what I'm pulling up from them. So Gunfire Games.
Yeah, because Virgil went under or something like that.
Gotcha.
So
nice.
Yeah,
we'll keep an eye on that. We got that was it for and I might pull up a couple next time or wait till I got a good group of them. But just upcoming games I wanted to get your views on. Let's talk about what's coming out this week. So we have Mortal Kombat 11. That's one of the big ones that's coming out tomorrow.
Have you checked any of the reviews for it yet?
Yeah, I was looking at the Metacritic.
Metacritic.
It's like 80s Metacritic.
Good.
So
it's good enough.
It looks dope, and apparently no one's saying anything negative about the Switch performance. So it looks like they've figured it out on Switch.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, right.
Good for them.
One thing I found interesting about because I looked up one of the last big Switch games that as far as like graphics heavy Switch games that they ported to Switch was that it's like Blood Souls or something. It was with the chick, she's going through this like just like these mental issues, and she has a head on her.
Satsuna Sacrifice or something like that. Hellblade. Yeah,
Hellblade. Yeah. So there's a YouTube channel called Digital Foundry, and they'll usually like take apart either 4K footage of a game and kind of compare like different consoles performing. Like they did that with Wolfenstein, with Doom. So they picked apart the Switch version compared to the console versions and PC, and they're almost one for one. They could tell where they made changes to get the performance to work. Like they pre-rendered the scenes on Switch versus actually rendering in time with the console. But they're just like the little tweaks they're able to get it to perform. So I wonder if Mortal Kombat's doing the same thing with maybe in the story mode. They're just kind of pre-rendering stuff, but making it look like it's there.
Do that. It definitely looks like the Xbox 360 version of Mortal Kombat.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I hope that game's good. It looks cool. I'm gonna watch the story mode for sure.
Yeah.
So
83 right now on Metacritic.
Yeah, they know how to do a story.
They do, and I think they're really, this is them performing at their highest with the story, with like just the combat in general. One thing Kotaku did a story on was
the new character that they announced today.
No, Frost.
There
was like a female Sub-Zero. Is that the one?
I don't know what makes her different than Sub-Zero. I don't know. Maybe there wasn't anything back in the day. I'm sure they'll do differences now.
Gotcha.
But no.
Well, no, they did a story on the tutorial that comes with Mortal Kombat and how it starts pretty basic, but if you stick with it, they get into really just nerdy details and then it kind of ties to like the fighting game scene where they talk about just like dealing with frame rates and how to best combat or like block moves to give you the best time to recover. And they just go into these, it's like a fully fledged tutorial that just brings you up to speed as far as if you're a novice or if you're an expert. It seemed really cool that they were adding that to it.
Did you just pronounce novice novus?
Yeah, that's what I say to my mind. I'm sticking with Novus. Nova Scotia. I feel like there's something there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to stick with Novus. You can
say... frame data, so they're giving frame data. That's huge because then people don't have to spend time calculating all that shit. That's going to be good. I can't wait to watch those tournaments. It's always a pleasure to watch in a tournament.
Yeah.
And there's
what? I have something about...
so many characters. Speaking of tournaments, though, There was just a huge one for Smash Brothers that just finished
Really?
up, and it was insane. It's called Pound.
That's the name of the tournament?
Yeah, it just finished up. I was watching the top 8 in Smash Brothers Ultimate. It was insane. You have all like crazy characters. It was
Pound 2019?
Yeah, it was insane, and the commentating crew was
It's a dope
on
name. I love that.
fire the entire time. They were. I was in tears laughing so hard. Not so much last night at the finals, but the day before they were.
Yeah. So was this over the weekend?
Yeah, it was over the weekend. And yeah, some of the crazy level play. I still can't remember, like, when you're seeing. I remember in the previous iterations of Smash, I hated Snake. I felt like he was a garbage fighter, and this he made it into top 8. I'm not going to spoil it beyond that, but he made it top 8. You know, you got Captain Olimar in top 8. You got all these crazy characters. I love the variety that this game has that is competitive, which none of the other versions of Smash truly had. You usually saw the same stuff, and that would be so frustrating to watch.
Is that them properly balancing all these characters, or it's just okay? Gotcha. Which that reminds me, over the I think it was like midweek last week, they released Joker as the DLC for Smash.
Have you played it?
No, I haven't.
I don't like him.
No.
No.
People were really losing their mind when that day when it was dropping. And also because you couldn't download it because there was like a system update at the same time too that Nintendo decided.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so people were getting really angry. But also then there's the level editor for Smash Bros. Too.
Some of those levels I've seen with that thing are so creative. People have made like sort of like semi mini games. Like one of my favorite ones, there's like a bucket that's gonna go around.
Okay.
In very short time periods. So like you're trying to fight your buddy, but at the same time, you really don't want to stay on the ground because the bucket's gonna come around and clear both of you off the screen.
Does it scoop you or just knock you off the screen?
It was like a cup.
Okay.
And it just grab you, but it takes you up to the top of the screen and you're dead then.
Yeah,
so once you get in it, you can't escape.
That's
awesome. God, it was funny. Yeah.
I did see someone made a calculator, or they're making a calculator.
Good.
Apparently they did that on the last, because was it Smash Bros. Melee, the last time they did the level editor? One of the last Smash Bros. And so they did that this time, and now they're doing it again. It's like a functioning calculator as a level, which is insane to me. But also just like the dicks that are everywhere.
There's dicks.
Yeah.
I like, there was a funny one of like an anime person bending over twerking, and I was like, all right.
Right. Yeah. But that's cool. I do want to dig more into the whole fighting game just scene, and just kind of that takes me to maybe the last thing we'll cover today.
Well, you gotta watch Evo, dude. But you gotta pick a game and you gotta watch it all the way through, because once you start watching and you experience the storylines, right? These little rivalries that break out, like you're cheering along with these people by yourself on your couch and whatever. Like it's.
Well, there was one thing that Kotaku posted that I think it kind of covers that, as far as like covering the tense moments in these fighting game tournaments. So there's something called Evo Moment 37. Do you know about this?
Oh God, yeah. Have you not seen?
No, I had no idea. I'm a baby to this whole scene.
But you've seen Evo.
No. Well, no, I've seen Evo, but this moment in particular that they were talking about.
Right.
So this was maybe 2 weeks ago, but it's just 15 years since this apparently classic moment in Evo, called let's see, Moment 37.
Yeah.
And it's this they're playing what Street Fighter 3.
I believe it was Street Fighter 3 Third Strike.
Yeah.
Which was like the fastest version of that game.
Okay.
And the thing you have to understand, not only is it a cool comeback because he comes back from no health, but that particular parry that he does, you have to precisely tap the button with the perfect timing.
And it's like, what, 10 times or something in a row?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's nuts.
The other thing, so if you get a close up, and I watched this thing that was sort of behind that moment, because the other guy, one of the things he mentions is that the other guy who's executed Chun-Li's move and is just hammering away with those kicks.
Yeah.
He can't do anything. Once he's into that animation, he's locked in. But you see him jiggling his stick, slamming on his stick like crazy. And he freely admitted later, he's like, no, that was tactical. I'm trying to mess up his rhythm.
Oh.
I am trying to get in his head, psych him out.
They're right next to each other playing.
Yeah, they're right next to each other. You messed that up once.
Yeah.
And that guy's gone. And they've mentioned that because now you see in a lot of tournaments, they're on two different TVs. They're across from each other rather than right next to each other.
So they can't mess with each other that way.
Yeah, and there is a big difference between that too.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
it's true. If you're hearing these different clicks, it's messing up your timing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I had never seen this video before. I watched it and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Just like the sheer just ability from these two players, especially at the very end, the way this guy's able to come back. But yeah, I didn't know that this was a moment.
Yeah,
this is a big deal.
It's legendary, and you add the factor that these are two of the best players, and they're still some of the best fighting game players out there.
Gotcha.
You add to it the fact that this was the final, so you have a mountain of nerves.
Yeah.
And then on top of that thing that he does at the end is exactly as hard as it looks.
Gotcha.
There is
because it's just like block, 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 and everyone just this is footage that we're watching from. The reason why it came up again in the whole news stream was that there was another angle of that same original video. Yeah. And so they put that up. And also Kotaku has a really small documentary about that event too, which is really cool. Yeah. And it's in this link here. Mm-hmm. But
have you watched that yet?
Yeah. And they interview the two fighters, and it's really cool just like hearing their side of it. But in the footage, you just hear the people reacting and them just like losing their minds, like the audience at the end. Yeah. It's the kind of thing that makes me want to go for the first time to one of these kind of events where you see it happen live.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too about that, it was sort of so I mentioned there's plot lines, right?
Yeah.
And the thing you got to understand, so Daigo, the guy that won, is sort of perceived as the honorable player, right? He doesn't use big cheesy moves. He's going to fight you fair and square.
Okay.
The other guy has always perceived, and I love him. I love Justin Wong to death. I think it was Justin Wong. I know what he looks like. I'm not sure on his name.
Justin Wong.
Yeah, Justin Wong. I love him to death. He's a villain.
Gotcha.
Part of that's because he wins nonstop. The man is damn near unbeatable, and he won't take it easy on you. You could be a 6-year-old little boy, walk up to him like, I want to play my hero Justin Wong, and he will shove your face in the mud and say, let's go, and destroy you.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if we're getting towards this. Is this the actual end of the match here?
Yeah, probably right here because they got up enough.
So yeah, he parries this.
And you have to
move
duck
perfectly
and jump on one. Yeah, you have to jump to block that one.
Oh God! Just to be in the room when like it's such a mic drop, like what the hell? Like you just won the Super Bowl. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was a big because that went viral, and that went viral before YouTube.
Really?
So going viral.
People are trading VHSs left and right. Like, here, you got to watch this.
You were downloading that on uTorrent or whatever people had eBaum's World at the time.
I know this angle doesn't show it, but in that small documentary Kotaku did, they show the two players. I forget who does what, but they end it, and one guy wants to shake the other guy's hand, and he just like has to walk away because it's so tense too. It's like you can't. It's like not right now. I can't deal with it.
That's those two. But to be fair, that would be me.
Gotcha.
As well. I'm not. You just
can't deal with it.
The salt would be unreal.
But yeah, I had no idea that was a thing until they posted that, and it was pretty cool.
You gotta watch for that. Yeah, it helps too when you know who the villains are. So you watch if you watch Smash Bros, you gotta know Zero. Now Zero's retired, which sucks because Zero was the best villain because he's like the Patriots in football, right?
Okay.
Like
he's just constantly winning.
It is the constant winning, but it's also if you give them an inch, he will take a mile.
Gotcha.
So when you have these people that are trying their absolute heart off and they have one moment, he's just, well, there you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have fucked up once.
Dang, just robotic.
He's insane.
That's awesome.
Doesn't help that he wears a dumb scarf.
Does he?
Yes.
Or he's cooler, way cooler because of that.
Yeah, you gotta watch some Evo. We'll have to watch some Evo this year.
Gotcha. Is there any big ones coming up? I imagine there's tons of small, like or even huge tournaments, but just well-known stuff.
I just see them when they're on, basically on Twitch. I never know. I used to watch them a lot more because I'd work late nights back in Texas, and they'd usually be on at that time.
Have you ever been to one live?
No, I'd love to. God, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I like it to be a game that I understand what they're doing too. That's always been my disconnect is I'm not playing a lot of fighting games, so I'm not seeing what they're doing, so I can't respect it. With this footage, I could easily tell with that Evo 37 moment, I could tell what was happening and how nuts it was. So maybe I'll kind of, take another look at it. But
we'll watch some Smash Bros. Like that one's, even though I'm not super well versed. The only thing I will say, if you watch Smash Bros, when you hear the commentary, you kind of have to ignore what they're calling stuff. When you say like a neutral A or a neutral B, if you don't know what that means, you can ignore it because literally it means, oh, he did a move. Or, oh, he did another move. Whereas in like Street Fighter, you'd be like, oh, he did a Shoryuken, or he did a. They actually name the moves. Whereas in Side B, Side B in Smash Bros, they just sort of say the input that you do.
Oh, okay.
Which is sort of lazy, but at the same time, there's so many characters you just can't.
Right,
and the
that's true.
audience knows what you mean.
Gotcha.
So if you don't know, which I don't know, then you can fully not care.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean that's what came out. That's what happened.
Skip Days Gone.
Yeah, the last release will be the end of the week. Days Gone. I am pretty stoked for that. But
God, I hope it's good.
yeah, I'm sure it will be decent at the very least. But that's maybe their last exclusive that they have this year, as far as the big one. There is Dreams, which they're doing a beta now. Like there's another beta happening now, but I don't know if they have an actual release date for that. So there's kind of there's not much going on for PS4 for 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides the other cross-platform games that are coming out, but yeah. That's their big one.
I think the thing that shows me interested about that most is like, from what little I understand of it, is you're going through this game, but the weather is dynamic, and stuff like that. So you can really have those scenes like they show in the trailer, where like you just stumble upon these guys and you waste all your ammo, and all of a sudden a huge horde of zombies hits, and it's just like you might be really mad and it might feel like bullshit, but you also might survive, and it feels like the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a balance to that kind of thing. Yeah. And then you have the whole aspect with your bike, and the bike can break down, and you have to fix it up, and you could be out, the weather could hit.
Oh, God, if it was the next... Oh, I don't want to get my hopes up. If it was the next Far Cry 2, I would cry of happiness. I'd go out and buy a PS4 tomorrow if it were the next Far Cry 2.
As far as what component to Far Cry 2, or like what?
Far Cry 2 was a miserable game to play.
Yeah, it was. I remember playing it.
And that's what made it so good. When you're just like, you're dealing with malaria, your car is breaking down, you're running out of all this stuff, like the fields are on fire, everything hates you.
Yep.
And when you won, you were just like, fuck you, game. I won.
Yeah.
You lose.
I do remember not liking it. Maybe I wasn't in the right headspace, but yeah, it was that. It was miserable the whole time.
I don't think it's for everyone. It's genuinely not. But if that was sort of I felt it was that much more immersive because the game hated you,
right?
Or at least it was for me. I don't know.
People do love it. I have seen that. That resurgence of the whole the love for that game. But yeah. And they really changed the gameplay and the kind of aspects after that one for sure.
Oh God, yeah. Total 360. You went from being absolutely miserable to just like flying around on a jet plane.
Yep, just having fun the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice.
Days Gone. You know what that reminds me of? Over the weekend, it was the year anniversary of the last God of War, which was one of the last big PS4 exclusives too.
Yeah.
But there's been retrospectives, and GameSpot actually did a thing with the director Cody Barlog, and he just talked about just development in general, and like different things that kind of failed or that worked out for him. But were you bummed out you didn't get to play that at all? Like, do you have any interest in jumping into that?
I would still love to play it. Even though I've seen like the last half of the story, I'd still play it all again. What a good game. Yeah. What a good game. The gameplay looked good. The story looked amazing.
The story was really, really good. Yep. The gameplay was awesome.
Yeah, what a good success story for them.
Do you have any interest in borrowing my PlayStation 4 to play some of these exclusive games that you've missed out?
I would, but then you wouldn't have your PlayStation 4.
That's fine. I have my Xbox One and that I don't play, but especially with Days Gone, that's maybe the next one that I'm looking forward to that's exclusive. After that, I don't see a lot coming down the line where I need to play it. I've been playing my Switch so much too lately, where if you see yourself having time, I would totally let you borrow it and just, if not finish all the games, dink around and try to play them, like Last of Us 2 or Last of Us 1 I have. There's so many games that I feel like you need to fucking play. Like Red Dead 2. Yeah. You got to play that.
I'll be honest, I don't think I'll finish Red
Whip
Dead
it out
2.
in a weekend, like this 80-hour game.
But that being said, I am single again.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So you could just jump back into Legions or whatever, Legends, whatever it was.
Oh, League of Legends? No, I would happily knock out God of War.
Yeah, let me know. I'll let you borrow it.
I did see. Is there a combo move where you like uppercut the guy and then your little son like bashes them over the head with a bow?
There's like a combo tree that you can develop where it's these moves together, where you do stuff, he does stuff. It's pretty badass. Yeah,
it looks so cool.
Yep.
Although I did see a thing with there was a short little thing, a thank you from the developers, and I love the designer that worked on the Valkyries or whatever, the big angel looking things, and she was like. She's like, when I heard people saying how hard they were and that they were bullshit, so happy.
Yeah, they're
good.
They're nothing to fuck around with. They suck. But when it's that same feeling you talk about with With Far Cry 2, when you beat them, you just feel so great because they just take dumps on you over and over and over again, and you feel triumphant. But you got to play that one. There's a couple of games that you really need to
There's
play.
that one. There are a few PS. That's the thing. Like PlayStation still had the exclusives this generation, so there's that.
As far as exclusives, they really went out with that whole thing with this whole generation.
I'm not sure I would play and I know it's supposed to be one of the most amazing games ever, but I'm not sure I'd actually finish The Last of Us. I was pretty miserable.
Dude, it's fun.
The load times killed me though because my PS3 was kind of dying.
Okay,
so
it's about to like take off.
I'd have 10-minute load times.
Dang,
so
that's not good.
Yeah.
I have it on PS4 too, where it's remastered and it's fast.
Yeah. I was so sad the entire time that I was playing. It's really a downer.
Yeah, I won't disagree with you. It is, but it's a downer in a way where I want to see the story unfold because the characters get closer and closer. So that's what keeps me going, even though it's a downer. There's that one. There's Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, that's the one right there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm,
yep. There's so many exclusive this generation where it's like, oh yeah, you should buy PS4 for this game. But there's like 6 or 7 of those with this whole generation. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Horizon. Yeah, I really want to play that one.
Yep. All right, man. Yeah, we'll figure that out. All right, dude. That's really what happened this week, and that's it. So we'll sign off. Gavin, where can they find you on the interwebs?
Drunk Devs on Twitter, and on if you want to play one of my games, you can go to GameJolt.com and look up Drunk Devs, where you can find games like Destroy the Porn.
Nice. And I'm Fonzie Pants on Twitter. Alrighty, guys, we'll see you. Bye bye.